Good evening, everyone. Tonight I will be telling you about Bill Clinton, not as how you probably know him as our president, or what you've heard from social media or the news on his life as a president or after being president, but as a public speaker. Now, there's a lot of you out there probably thinking, well, duh, I already knew him and that he was a great public speaker. And there's others of you that are probably out there like, he was a public speaker? Well, I fall under that category. I had no idea that he was a public speaker until my mother suggested I should look him up. And I started doing some research on him and found out he is actually a very good public speaker. Now, as I mentioned before, yes, he was our president, but he was also a great public speaker. Now, this speech will be focusing on the public speaker. I'm not really going to tell you anything on laws that he enacted as a president. But now, according to Fast Company, I found 3 things that he was very good at in his public speaking. One of them was he knew when to stop and go. Now, that was a very good example at the wrong timing. So he knew when it was a good time to stop and get very good, make his point very well, and knew it was a bad time to stop. If this was him giving the speech, he would have not stopped there. Now, I struggle with this a lot because I am not the best at stopping and going. He was not afraid of silence. I am. So now his second one was his hand gestures were synced with what he was saying. I am also very terrible at this. I need to do better, and as of now, I am starting to work on it. His third was it was not how much as what he said, it was how he said it. He was very good at pronouncing words and using the pronunciation to get different emotions out of people, and his facial expressions, like smiling and nodding and winking and everything else that he does with his face. I do this sometimes. I am not the best at it. I still need work on it, and I am working on getting better. Now, what I also found that was very interesting is I thought I was a great storyteller. It turns out, after reading on Mindful Presenter, I am not a good storyteller whatsoever. I noticed that in my stories, I would not tell or have a clear understanding on where I was going or what I was doing. So I'd need to work on this. And one of his quotes that I found about storytelling was, the best stories are the ones that are based on your own experiences. And now I have a couple other quotes. I never considered this before until I started researching on Bill. That there is nothing wrong with America that cannot be fixed by what is right with America. Was one of his quotes that I found very interesting. Now, well, you're probably asking yourself why I'm telling you this quote in a speech that should be about his technique. Well, I think if you just change up the quote a little bit, then have it say that there's nothing wrong with your speech that cannot be fixed by what is right with your speech, that you will find out your speeches aren't that terrible, like the one that you are hearing tonight. Now, I found another very interesting quote. It says that if you live long enough, you'll make mistakes, but if you learn from those mistakes, you become a better person. It is how you handle adversity, not how it affects you. The main thing is never quit, never quit, never quit. Now, this one is very good for public speaking as well, because if you look at it, you might give hundreds of speeches a year. Well, you are going to mess up eventually, but never give up and learn from your mistakes. Now finally, those last two quotes were on a website that was called Goodreads. If you're ever interested in looking up more quotes by Bill Clinton, I suggested one on that site. Now I'd like to thank you all for coming out. I know that this is a very awesome speech and that you were very happy to be here. So thank you, and it has been such an honor to give my speech to you, and I hope that now you will see Bill as not just our former president, but as the great public speaker he is.